Hi, now I would like to show you how to make a round neck like this. In this video I will first show you how to make this round shape by knitting the top part of the body back and forward. And I will show you how I cast off to shape the neck hole. When that is done, I'm going to knit the sleeves, and I am going to connect the shoulders here and make the holes for the sleeves and do all the other steps required. And when that is done, I will get back to you on how to pick up stitches along the edge and knit the neck itself. But now first, how to shape the neck hole. Now I am ready to cast off for the front of the neck, and this is the front of my sweater, and here I have my marker for the beginning of my row. So I have just knitted my pattern from the beginning of the row, and I have arrived at the point where I want to cast off, and in this case I want to cast off 17 stitches for the front of my neck hole. So I want to bring along both my yarn ends, and to do that I just keep following my pattern where I knit 3 blue, 3 white, and I repeat that. So I will begin now. I knit 1 stitch and I knit the second, then I just pull the first stitch over the second like that, and this is my first. I have cast off 1 stitch, my first cast off. Then I knit another stitch and I bring the last one over and off the needle. So now that is 2 stitches, 3, I change colors, and when I change color I wish to let's see, there you go. I want to make sure that I don't pull this yarn float here on the wrong side too tight, because then I will make, you can see here, I will pull it together and it will be really tight and uneven, and I want my neck to be elastic. Okay, yeah, I'll have to slip this one first, and I will continue like this until I have cast off a total of 17 stitches, and then I will get back to you on how I continue. Now I have finished the front of my neck here. So I have cast on 17 stitches and I am ready to continue. So I just now continue to knit my pattern, and I will do so until I have gone around the whole row, and I arrive here at the beginning of my row again. Then I will begin to knit the next row, and I will knit until I arrive here where I begun to cast off. And when I am here, I will get back to you on how to do the next step. So now I have arrived again at the beginning of my cast off. I have the beginning of my row here, and what I will do is that I will turn my whole knit work to the wrong side, and I will purl my way back all around until I arrive here, and I will begin to cast off 4 stitches here, and knitting with 2 colors on the wrong side is not as difficult as it looks. You will probably be a bit slower than usual if you're not used to doing it, but it should be okay. The reason why I do it is that I don't want a lot of loose yarn ends here when I make the neck. If you don't mind attaching a lot of loose yarn ends, you just pull till you have enough yarn, and then you continue to knit, and you cast off here and you go around and continue like that. But I'm not a big fan of attaching loose yarn, so I will turn and go back. So only thing I have to remember is that because I have begun on a new row here, when I have knitted from here to here, this side is 1 row further in the process than this side. You can see the difference here in the pattern. Here I have this stitch to make the cross, and this is missing here, because normally I would begin here and go around and arrive back here again to complete the row. But now, as I stop here and turn and go back, I will begin the next row again here, and I will need to go back 1 row and knit this here when I go from the beginning of the row and this way. So this is not difficult, it's just that you have to remember which row to knit. So, and that's why I have the marker here. So now I will show you how to cast off and then purl my way back on the wrong side with 2 colors, and I begin to slip the first stitch, then I just make sure I have the yarn on the wrong side, so I keep the yarn floats here, and I just purl the I slip the first stitch and I purl the second, and then I just pull. I slip the first stitch over the second, just like I did before on this bit. And that is 2 stitches and 3 and 4. So now I am done with the cast off on this row. So now I just have to knit or purl my pattern until I arrive here on the other side of my neck. So what I do is I just purl in a regular manner, but I always bring the needle on this side so that I have the yarn towards me. So I go through the stitch and purl, make sure I have the yarn I don't use on my side here, so it ends up on the wrong side. I must remember to knit my pattern, so now I have to pick up the white, making sure I have the blue yarn here on the wrong side, like this. Blue again, and I will continue like this. And now I want to pick up the white yarn again, so I pick it up and make sure I get the blue yarn here, that it ends up on the wrong side. And now you can see I get the yarn float here on the wrong side, and it looks okay here. So I will continue to do this until I arrive here, and hopefully I will remember to change to the right row when I get to the beginning of my row. And when I am here, I will get back to you with the next step. Now I have arrived here at my cast off for the front of the neck, and I have purled my way around this row, and next step is to turn my knit work to the right side again, and now I will cast off from this side, and yeah, I will cast off 3 stitches. I was supposed to do that on this side as well when I did 4, so I had to go back and redo that. And of course you cast off the number of stitches that your pattern requires. So now I work from the right side, and I cast off 3 stitches. Again, I slip the first stitch and I knit the second, slip the first over the second again. I have now cast off 1 stitch, knit 1, slip the last one over, 2 stitches, knit 1, slip. So that was 3 stitches. And now I just have to continue to knit my pattern. And I will continue to do so until I get back here at the beginning of my row. And here I will change to the next row in my pattern, and I will go to the beginning here of my cast off again, turn, and I work from the wrong side back, and I will do this back and forward until I have finished my pattern. And then I will put the work aside until I am ready to assemble and knit the neck itself. And this will be the next step that I am going to show you. Now the neck hole is shaped and the shoulders are connected. So next you are going to see how I pick up these stitches and make the neck. First step is to place all the remaining stitches from the back part here onto a short circular needle, and this will be the part of the neck that goes on the back of the sweater. And these are the remaining stitches between the shoulders, and here I have the rest of the neck. And what I'm going to do now is to pick up stitches all around the edge here so that I can connect this and knit the neck in the round. So I will find my yarn. I just hold the yarn end here in my right hand and just try to create an even and good looking edge. And here you can see there are some loose yarn, so I begin by making 1 stitch just to tighten that. Like that. And now I just have to find places where I can pick up, here for instance, and I just stick my needle through where I want to pick up the yarn and I knit. And I just repeat that, make sure I don't make the too loose, because then I will create big holes. And I will try to choose where I pick up the stitches so that it looks even. And let's see, you just have to, oh, I have to do that one again, didn't look too good. So this is how I do it. I just try and I see how it looks as I go. Now this is just some loose yarn. Okay, there we go. For instance, I will not pick up and knit through this one because then I will get a big hole. So I'll go on this side and pick up something tighter. Like this. And the purpose is to conceal this edge here where I cast off and shaped the neck. And it can be okay to measure every once in a while to see that you get the right amount of stitches in every 10 centimeters. So that matches the pattern you are using. So now I think I have made a good start here, and I will continue to pick up stitches all the way around. Here I will have to test how it looks as I go along. Here in the front it will be easier. I can just pick up each stitch here. Just make sure I conceal this edge. And when I arrive here at the other end, at this end, I will get back to you on how to do the next step. So now I have picked up all my stitches and I have joined the neck here. And this will be the beginning of my row. I had a yarn end on the wrong side here. I just pulled it out here just to mark where the beginning of my row is, so that I know. And now I simply start to knit the neck. In my case, the neck is knit 1, purl 1 ribbing, and you of course knit the how your pattern says that you should. If it's the same that I do, or if it's a knit 2, purl 2 ribbing, or any other. And before you start, you should make sure that you have the right amount of stitches to make the pattern complete here when you get to the end of your row. So that now I've begun with a knit stitch, I should end with a purl stitch. So you should count to see that you have an even number. If you are like me and think that is boring and you count wrong and you have to count again and again, then you just knit, and when you get here at the end of the row, you just see that if it doesn't fit, you either make 1 stitch or you knit 2 stitches together to adjust to the ribbing. So now I will continue to knit in the round, and when my neck is long enough, I will get back to you with the next step. Now I have knitted the neck until it has reached the length that I want and that my pattern states. And the next step is to cast off. And when I do, I want to continue to knit the ribbing, because then I find that the cast off is slightly more elastic. Anyway, I will have to cast off loosely to maintain elasticity. So, but to follow the ribbing when I cast off, I knit the knit stitches and I purl the purl stitches now as well. So I knit 1 and purl 1, and then I take the first stitch and I slip it over the second like this. I knit the next stitch, slip the last one over, and then I purl, and I slip the last stitch over, and I knit, and I continue like this all the way around the neck. And after I'm finished, I should have one stitch remaining at the end, and when I do, I cut my yarn with a generous length, and I just pull the last stitch until I have pulled the yarn end through, and then I use that yarn end to attach the neck when I fold it to cover this part here, like this, and then I just hand stitch around with the yarn end to attach. Alternatively, I can just cast off and leave it this way to make a higher, almost a turtleneck if you prefer that. In any case, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for watching.